All right, the nation of North Korea, its leaders calling President Trump's latest threats a declaration of war, but the White House quickly dismissing that claim.
We've not declared war on North Korea, and frankly, the suggestion of that is absurd.
So what does the White House need to do next to tamp down these latest provocations? Here now to weigh in is Hudson Institute fellow and a member of the team that actually helped launch a bipartisan missile defense caucus in the House, Rebeccah Heinrichs. Thank you so much for joining us, Rebeccah.
Good morning.
So let's take a look at this tweet in question from President Trump right off the start. Get you to respond to this. He said, I just heard Foreign Minister of North Korea speak at UN. If he echoes thoughts of Little Rocket Man, they won't be around much longer. Now, they consider that to be a declaration of war. They said as a result, they can shoot down U.S. missiles. They don't even have to be in their airspace. What do you think?
Well, first of all, you know, the North Koreans make threats all the time. I mean, they've said that the Seth Rogen Intercept movie was an act of war. So, you know,
forgot about that.
They say things that are act of wars all the time. So on the one hand, you know, you don't want to take it too seriously. On the other hand, we are talking about a nuclear state at this point. So, you know, and remember, North Korea just launched a missile that flew into Japanese airspace. If that's not an act of war, you know, it's amazing that they would think that flying B-1 bombers in international airspace over international waters would be. Of course, it is not. So the White House is right to push back forcefully. This is not an act of war. They're allowed to fly these warplanes over international waters. If the North Koreans were so foolish as to try to shoot one of these down, which I don't know if they have the capabilities to even do that, because it's unclear what capabilities they do have. But if they were to try, it would be a serious miscalculation, because the United States would obviously respond very, very forcefully.
What's scary about this whole thing, though, is that while we spend all this time talking trash between the president's Twitter and whatever North Korea is saying that day or that week, you know, their military is, I assume, gaining strength, and they're learning. They're figuring this out. I mean, I think the next thing they need to figure out is the reentry on the ballistic nuclear weapons, and then they can actually do something. Whereas, you know, I mean, we've gone through 8 years of being super passive with Kim Jong-un, letting him just kind of say whatever he wants, and Obama not saying anything really in return. And now these words continue with no action, and at some point they're going to figure this out. And that's what's scary.
That's exactly right. What the North Koreans have done is they've increased the tempo of their ballistic missile tests, and even whenever they blow up on the launch pad, they learn from the failures. They apply what they learned to get the capability. I recently interviewed General Hyten, who's the commander of Strategic Command, four-star general, and we talked about this a little bit, and he said the only thing that we haven't seen them do is actually, you know, do the full end-to-end test of the missile with the nuclear capability, and we've seen them do everything else. So we need to presume that they could have the capability if they wanted to do it. We have to take that part of it seriously. But again, the Trump administration, it is enforcing this pressure campaign against the North Koreans. The Chinese are now on board with a lot of what the United States is doing. So we are making progress. We have to stay the course, make sure that our allies, the South Koreans and the Japanese, know that we have their back, and continue to squeeze so that we can solve this problem diplomatically without using force.
Yeah, what's interesting is that with these bombers, they flew not only the furthest place north in the demilitarized zone than ever has happened in this century, they also flew without without South Korea or the Japanese planes escorting them. So, you know, we'll see what happens next. It definitely is escalating.
They got to figure this out. Yeah, it's getting to be a little ridiculous. Rebeccah, thank you so much.